Hello! This week's episode is The Valley of the Shadow. And since these episodes are a lot longer, it's also the last episode of the first disc of the fourth season. So it starts with the use of a Forbidden Planet prop. We talked about the Forbidden Planet before. They had access to these props and they made one of the communicators into this disassembler things. It works. It looks nice. James Dewan makes an appearance as the father of this little kid. This is, pre-Star Trek. Gosh, he's young. But yeah, he's great in this little bit part. Natalie Truly, who is Ellen Marshall, the woman at the hotel. She does a great job in this, obviously, but she also married, the producer, I think, of some of the Planet of the Ape movies. So she's in several of them as different sort of things. So she's an ape in some, and she's a mutant in another one. And there's some cool stuff that she did there. She did really well for herself. The car crash I want to talk about a bit. So he drives into an invisible barrier. And the car gets smashed to smithereens. Now, they didn't want to drive him into something at speed. The speed he's going, he would certainly not have wrecked his car quite that badly. So what they did instead, I'm guessing at this point, but I think they had a tow cable attached to the rear of the car. And if you watch it in slow motion, you'll see that the car actually goes like this. When it hits the wall. So it goes forward and then back like that. And there are actually a few frames where you can see that as the car crashes, the front of the car is actually intact. I'll see if I can show it here, but you can see it if you pause well enough. Then the car front is severely shattered, but not for very long. So in the very next shot of the car front, it's no longer dripping water. So the coolant must have immediately left. But it doesn't look like it's flowing out. It's dripping out. So it should probably have been there. And of course, there's no pool of it, nearby either. Oh well. Stunt driver, of course, and you can tell because the moment he hits, he does this to cover his face from the camera angle. But that's what happens. When they're showing off all these gadgets, I'm not sure why they would do that other than just exposition, but they do. And they take out this card, and he doesn't really sort of look at what's written on the card. He just sort of goes, oh, it's just a sandwich with a ham. It's very much, Cypher in the Matrix when he goes, I don't even see the code anymore. You can just sort of read what it says. Each card actually says what's on it, as well. But he sort of plays that off. So the next interesting bit, of course, is when the dog is standing with its paws pressed up against the glass, and he walks into the glass. Now, they didn't have glass for that shot, so he just looks like he's bouncing back. But if you have a closer look, you'll see that the cigarette is not disturbed. It would have definitely smashed against something if he hit it with his head. It's a bit of acting that he does. I like it. It's effective. But then you have the shovel that he swings and it just smashes to pieces. So they put up a plate glass, a very strong piece of glass, and then he smashes this shovel into it. And the shovel is, you can make these. It's a graphite, and then you have shoe polish and stuff, and it just breaks apart. But it also sticks to the glass. So there are these black spots on the glass when he turns around and leaves. Not sure a force feed would have that. I was speaking about Dewan before. Of course, in Star Trek, they have these replicators, and that's essentially what they have here too. They can make whatever objects they want, and that's supposed to eliminate the need for material things. And that's something that they talk about in Star Trek quite a bit, that poverty and need has been removed from the human species. And then, of course, that gets retconned in later series when they decide that they want more human tension, so they put all that stuff back, especially in whatever it's called, the later one. I'm a bit worried about the end, to be honest, because they have this thing that they put between him and the machine, and then they fiddle about with it, and it does something, and he goes, and then he wakes up in the car. Now, has that erased his memory? Because if that's what it did, then he'd be severely late for his work in Albuquerque. Days, weeks maybe. And he would have noticed, and he would have sort of had to start figuring that out. They could have recreated the details, of course, you know, the car being there, the kid on the curb and all that stuff. But that doesn't happen. So, I don't think that's it. So is it time travel? Do they put him back in the past? And if so, does that affect everyone? Because the attendant, of course, is acting differently, walks up to the car with exact change, so he doesn't get the chance to have the dog run away. And then Ellen shows up to look longingly at him. So, I'm not sure. It's like they wanted to do both. But we don't get it. Next week is Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper, one of the greatest actors that we get to see this season at least. And He's Alive. And I look forward to seeing you then. Take care now.